Well, look, I'm going to come over here and answer a few people. I don't know if you can hear, maybe you want to move a bit closer, but what I thought was, I'm a paediatrician, children's doctor, and it's an incredible privilege to be here with Uncle Kevin.
Same.
And I always think that, you know, we white people came to this country, and instead of learning from the people who know country and know how to care for it, we've ravaged it and destroyed it, and we should be kneeling at these people's feet and learning how to care for the country. So we've been terribly, terribly, terribly arrogant. And these are the people that really have the knowledge and the wisdom.
Well, we can't blame you for that because coming the wrong way and everything.
Well, I
we
can
can't
blame.
criticise people.
Well, I am
criticising
us.
Because they're destroying something they don't have to be fully.
Yeah.
Right.
So look, the best thing would be if you shoot questions at me about the medical effects of mining or what happens to it when it goes overseas. I've been deeply concerned with Fukushima. 35% of the 135 children aged between 0 and 18 in Fukushima prefecture already have thyroid nodules, and you don't expect that for 5 years. This is within the first year. And the only way to find out if they're malignant is to stick a needle in and take some cells out and see if they're malignant. They're not doing that. A lot of those children are going to have cancer, and I think a lot will die. So the medical irresponsibility and cover-up in Japan is obscene, and that's our uranium, and it possibly came from here, and Ranger. So we are in fact participating in long-term killing. And there are going to be huge numbers of people getting cancer in Japan from Fukushima. The accident isn't over. There could be another earthquake. Building 4 could collapse, and the cooling pool on top, full of fresh fuel rods from the reactor, could burn. And then they're talking about evacuating Tokyo, 35 million people. So that's what this thing means here. And every country that buys our uranium can make bombs, because each reactor makes 250 kilos of plutonium a year, which lasts for 500,000 years, and you need 5 kilos to make a bomb. So theoretically, you can make 50 bombs a year from uranium that's fissioned in reactors. And who's buying reactors? Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. God help us. And America and Russia still have thousands of nuclear weapons ready to go, launch on warning, and the whole thing could take half an hour to an hour to complete. And the Chinese are hacking into the Pentagon early warning systems. Why it hasn't happened yet, why we haven't blown up the planet yet, God only knows. We're lucky. And so we are pouring gasoline on the nuclear fire by mining this stuff, and it has to absolutely stop. Corporations into our country to steal our resources that we own.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's all ours. It's not BHP Billiton. Now, my grandmother had shares in BHP since I was a little girl. She left them to me. And then the British came and took 76% of it, called privatisation or whatever. And now they don't give a flying if you know what about what happens to us or the uranium or anything. They're only in it for money. So money is killing the planet. And it's going to cause epidemics of leukemia, cancer, and genetic disease for the rest of time as radioactive waste leaks out of whatever they put it into. Concentrates in the food supply, in the breast milk, in the fetuses to cause genetic deformities, babies being born deformed like they are in Fallujah.
What about the groundwater?
13% of the children being born in Fallujah, where they used uranium weapons, are so deformed. No brains, single eyes, no arms. The doctors have told the women to stop having babies in Fallujah. But uranium lasts, well, its half-life is 4.5 billion years. That's probably our uranium. And the incidence of childhood cancer is so high, and they can't treat the children because of the sanctions. We're killing people, and we could blow up the world. That's what this mine means. Death and blowing up the world. You can imagine our descendants waking up in the morning, their breast milk already radioactive from the food they eat, and you can't taste, smell or see these radioactive elements. Their babies being born deformed, kids getting cancer at the age of 6 instead of 60 because they're exposed in utero. That's what this place means. It's death. This is a a death-inducing industry, and it could blow up the planet and destroy the only life in the universe. And I knew Carl Sagan, you know, that great astronomer? And I said to him, Carl, do you think there's any other life in the universe? And he paused for a while and he said, no. I said, why? He said, because if any species had reached our stage of development, they would have destroyed themselves. That's us.
That's us.
That's these bloody police out here. How dare they? How dare they? I said to them, take me to jail. What do they think they're doing? This is a democracy. We have right of freedom of speech and action, just like you people done. I mean, I was trembling, I was so angry. It was like being in Nazi Germany.
Good.
Or Tahrir Square, as one of the photographers said. In Egypt, a police state. Now, it's been predicted for decades that nuclear power would lead to a police state. Here it is right here, in our own beloved country of Australia. Well, we've got more guts than that. We're very creative and gutsy, like you are. And when we were in New Guinea and the Japanese were beating the Americans would get in a trench and stick a digger's hat on top of a stick and hold it up to intimidate the Japanese because they were scared of us. So there are enough people here to lead a revolution, which you've already started, to turn 22 million people upside down, to educate them about the dangers, and as Jefferson said, an informed democracy will behave in a responsible fashion. It's the media that's determining the fate of the earth, and if you educate the people, they'll respond responsibly, and you're leading it, because you've got media exposure throughout the country. And you can't stop now, you've just started. I'm 74, I'll be dead soon, but I'll do whatever I can with every breath in my body till I die to help you. You can ask me anything, but...
It's one at a time. Oh, there we go. Rolly.
Yeah, Rolly.
What have you been doing in Roxby today?
Oh, I just gave a talk to some mothers, and they had tiny babies, and their husbands were there. Some of them cried. I got a baby who was 6 weeks old. You know how they're all floppy? And held the baby up, and I said, this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been talking about, the purity of new life and their future.
And was there much turn up, and what was the response?
Very, very good media turn up, which is really what you want. Because when I went to Mary Kathleen Mine in Queensland, they all came and they heard me. They said if I came to and talk to them, they'd tar and feather me because they had a nice swimming pool, a nice ton, just like this one. I told them the facts and they were devastated. So they left. They set up a health clinic, and then more ignorant workers came in. So it's really no use educating the people because they're a transient population. What you must do is educate the Australian public. And the anti-uranium movement started in my sitting room in Adelaide in 1975. We got uranium mining banned for 5 years. Through the ACTU, and I got round to all the unions in Australia, Northern Territory, everywhere, Railways Union, talking about the medical effects upon their testicles of mining uranium. That's what shut up the unions. So testicles are the go. Yeah. That's what they care about. And, you know, they're exposing their testicles down under that mine because they're getting whole body gamma radiation all the time. Yeah.
There's been talk of if there's an earthquake that was to rupture the tailings, and then the tailings would go and basically solidify and then turn to dust, and then that dust, radioactive dust would blow about and even hit Sydney and places like that. Do you have a rough idea of what sort of health effects that may cause?
Well, I know there's an earthquake fault running through here, but there's going to be a huge mountain of tailings. I can't remember how high, but just massive, and it'll be dry, and this is desert. And you know, remember that red dust storm that blew over Sydney? I'm in Bermagui in the south of New South Wales. I've still got red dust all over my barbecue. I don't like touching it because I think it might have uranium and radium in it from here. Yeah. Although now I see that you don't have a big tailings pile, it's an underground mine. But yeah, sure, that tailings pile will definitely induce malignancy and disease for the rest of time, because uranium has a half-life of 4.5 billion years. Like, forever. Forever. And that's why
The sun goes out before
that's why these people know that it should be left in the ground. This is revenge. They've always known. And the Aborigines up at Ranger wouldn't go and live in a certain place because they called it sickness country. They knew if they lived there they would get, you know, disease, which was obviously leukemia and cancer. They knew. We are so stupid, aren't we?
Your mob, but those other mob.
Those other mob, they are. Yeah. Yeah, but at the back.
Okay, I've sort of got two questions.
Yeah.
The same sort of thing. Okay, what are the effects of us being here? One of my close friends has cancer at the moment. What's the effects of her being here? And also, another one of my friends has a very small child. What would be the effects of us being around here at the moment on him?
I think you're pretty safe here. They are venting a lot of radon out of the underground mine. What is it, 10, how far away is it from here?
I'm not too sure.
As the crow flies.
About 3 k's.
3k? Well, it's pretty windy. You'd have to hope that the radon gets blown around and diluted. I mean, I haven't tested the soil to see if it's radioactive. I don't know where the people get their water supply from in Roxby, but I think it's underground water. And as the uranium is under the ground, I would...
From the lake.
Oh, it's from the lake?
They get it from the lake, yeah.
Fresh water. It's
That's
okay.
what I mean.
Okay.
We've had a fella doing Geiger counting readings here, and he's been checking them every day. And when we've gone up to the gates, and they've all been.
Well, if it's from the lake, Uncle Kevin says.
No, sorry, this the ground.
No, it's the groundwater.
Oh, it's groundwater.
Groundwater.
Well, if it's groundwater, it should be tested once a week for radium and all the other isotopes that come from uranium. And if there is radioactivity in the water, they should not be drinking it. That's a risk for the people here.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about the water. I was talking about just being here and, you know...
Yeah, I know you were, but I brought up the water. So just being here and your friend with cancer, I wouldn't think it's a risk just being at this camp. Okay?
That's good to know, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't drink the water.
Well, don't drink the Roxby water. I don't believe in bottled water in plastic bottles because it's got hormone mimickers in it that can give you breast cancer and prostate cancer and stuff. But in this instance, I would drink bottled water. If you can get it in glass bottles, all the better. Yeah.
I was just going to start taking a speaking list so that you can relax and just answer questions and not have to think
Oh,
about
no,
them.
I don't mind. No, I'm okay.
You don't mind?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Are there any more questions? Yeah. Are you the Statue of Liberty?
Perhaps, but I'm feeling Now, my other question now would be, what was the feeling you got off of the people in town? What was their reaction?
Oh, they were pretty deeply moved.
Yeah.
See, if I can get half an hour with a group of people and I walk them through the medical stuff like I would with a patient, I can always get through to them because I'm practiced at dealing with patients, and each patient is different. You have to approach one patient might have an IQ of 90 and another one of 140. I mean, I spent an hour and a quarter with Reagan in the White House holding his hand, you know, alone, and his IQ was clinically about 100. And I had to hold his hand to reassure him. He got very anxious, and I established a doctor-patient relationship with him, you know, so I could assess his IQ. He knew nothing. But you have to assess people's IQ to make sure they put their suppository in at the right time in the morning, and, you know, they take their tablets. You know, you have to know what you're dealing with. So, yeah, I mean, being a doctor gives you a lot of experience in handling. Audiences are as different, each audience, as each patient. And, you know, what I practice is, I'm not an activist, I practice preventive medicine. And that's in fact what you're doing too. You are all physicians to a dying planet. The planet is in the intensive care unit. And we must give the sort of commitment to the planet, saving the planet, as we do as doctors at 3 a.m. in the intensive care unit when we're so tired we can hardly think. But we don't think about ourselves. We're committed to our patients. And our patient now is the planet. So congratulations. jokes. No, I'm really serious. And they'll say, you're a doctor, and you'll say, yeah, I'm a physician to a planet that's dying. And then the media will like that. Pearls, wear your pearls. I used to say if you wear pearls you can say anything. And you can, because they say, oh, really? Yeah.
I know that the workforce here at Roxby is not unionised. That's part of the problem, the transient workforce, but no unions, secrecy clauses and all that sort of stuff. Expendable, workforce, pretty much, and that some of them are aware of it, some aren't. And you know how the electrical trade union, you've been working with that Modern Queensland, they sort of ran their workers from working in a toxic industry to protect their own workers. Was it the NT and Queensland?
It was Queensland and the Northern Territory.
Yeah. Has there been any other developments?
No, not that I know of. But it's criminal that this workforce isn't allowed to be unionised. What's happening to our country? I can't believe it. I mean, I grew up in a fantastic country with Whitlam and Don Dunstan and, Chifley, and these people would turn in their graves if they knew what was happening here. So we've got to rise up. The politicians are not our leaders. We are their leaders. And they must represent us. And stupid little Martin Ferguson, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know any science, any biology. You've got to make appointments and go and teach the stupid fellow. And same with Julia. She doesn't understand any of this. We can't have scientifically, medically ignorant politicians. We have to, and therefore we must make appointments, put on our pearls, and go and see them and teach them. Because it's good also to get media, but we also have to make friends with the politicians and educate them. And if they don't represent us, you run for politics. You. I mean it. I nearly got into Parliament. I was nearly the first independent in the lower house with Bob Hawke, and I would have had such fun. See, you can do anything if you want.
What would be some of your ideas for other strategies following on from Lizard's revenge, from your point of view? Considering the network.
Well, I think you've been very creative, and I think you just sit down, put your heads together, and say, think out of the box. And you have been thinking out of the box. I'll come back with you when you come back next time. Nick Terry said it may be within a year, But I've got to write an article about what happened today with the cops. And I'm thinking, well, I suppose Murdoch won't publish it. Where do I go? Because he owns
Indie
7
media.
No. Yeah, indie media is good, but you want to get in the main media. The Herald, I don't know. Well, maybe the New York Times. Maybe I'll write an article for the New York Times. And dump on Australia at the moment and just say what's happening here. I could probably write it on the way home, You've got a question.
It's just like the cops want to make themselves the enemy instead of BHP.
No, they're intimidating you. They've been given orders and they're intimidating you. It's like Nazi Germany, Next thing you'll be wearing yellow stars. No, I'm serious. How dare they take your particulars? You are exercising your democratic rights as Australian citizens. They have no right to be doing what they're doing at all, period. I don't care what laws they pass, and no law is written in stone. Laws are passed to protect the majority of the people, and if they don't, they must be eradicated. So this law must go.
They closed the road, the access, half the access to the site's been closed.
Yeah, I know, they've done everything. Poor old Benny's in jail. Benny! Everywhere I go in New York or anywhere in the world, there's Benny standing on this barrel. Yeah. There's a question there.
Just two questions, really.
Yeah.
The first one is, can you talk about the connection with radon gases and strontium-90 and thyroid disorders? And the second part is, can you comment on the failure of the action by Indigenous and service people in London to get an action up against the British government in Maralinga?
The British government's impossible. know, they took the heads of Aborigines and put them in their museums and stuff. I mean, you know, I wouldn't trust the Brits as far as I could kick them.
And the other thing...
Okay, iodine. The only thing that causes thyroid cancer is radioactive iodine. Now, the thyroid is the only organ that uses iodine. That's why they put iodine in salt and stuff, because you need iodine. Now, people who are iodine deficient, who lived around Chernobyl because their diet wasn't good, they took in a lot of radioactive iodine because it was in the air by inhalation and by eating contaminated food. And a lot of them developed thyroid cancer. I think there are 28,000 cases of thyroid cancer related. So radon doesn't cause thyroid cancer, it causes lung cancer. Strontium-90 causes bone cancer and leukemia. You must read my book, Nuclear Power is Not the Answer, and I go through each of the isotopes to show you where they go in the body and what they do. And it's imperative that you all be well educated. Imperative. Then you can teach your families and your relatives, and you can teach your politicians and the media. But you must be well educated. Right? Yeah.
Hi, I found this hat at the office, and it says Outback Veterans supporting the future of cancer 2000, and it's pointing at Roxy down. And I'm just wondering, what are they doing here to actually do anything about
I don't know, love. You'd better find them on the internet and bring them up. Take your own initiative. See, no one's ever told me what to do. I've always kind of known if I've ever followed anyone else's dictum, it's never worked. And I've been deeply concerned since I read On the Beach when I was 16 and the world was demolished in a nuclear war, except people in Melbourne where I lived. And then they all died too. And then I learnt radiation and genetics in first year medical school, age 17. So I've always known and always been deeply concerned. Because this stuff just destroys the human gene pool. But there are 30 million other species that live on the planet with us, and they all have genes, and they get cancer too. So it's sort of deep in my bones, and just use your imagination, and also be quiet, because that's when I get the most. When I'm in my garden and stuff, that's when I know what I have to do. You know, I don't believe in God or any of that stuff, but you know, you get intuitive leads. Finished? What?
I'm just curious
Loud.
about...
Oh, you've got a bad voice, yeah.
I have two questions. One, I'm curious about the pathophysiology of the different gases and their influence on cancer and how that differs for children, possibly.
What gases?
The radioactive materials, the radon, and other radioactive materials in the water, and things like that.
What's your second question?
What's your vision for radically different answers?
Something about radioactive gases. Children are 20 times more sensitive to radiation than adults. They get cancer more readily. Little girls are twice as sensitive as little boys, and we don't know why. Women are more sensitive than men. Fetuses are thousands of times more sensitive than adults. 1 X-ray to the pregnant abdomen doubles the incidence of leukemia in the baby. Radon is the only gas produced by mining uranium, and it causes lung cancer. But there's radium in the dust, and it causes bone cancer and leukemia, and that's what Madame Curie refined. She used to walk around with a lump of it in a pocket in a lab coat, and she died of leukemia, and her body was so radioactive, it was all stacked in her bones, because radium is like calcium, it goes to bone. They had to bury her in a radioactive waste facility. Her daughter died of leukemia too. So that's what the men are exposed to. What do I think about a health system? We've got a bloody good health system here. In America, they don't have a health system. It's all about money. We shouldn't expect to be paid or get rich. We should expect to treat our patients free. If they have no money, they'll give us a cake or a chook, you know. But medicine is a sacred profession. It's sacred because people tell you their deepest secrets and they take their clothes off, and it's sacred. It's as sacred as being a teacher.
what would you say to the people that are pro-uranium mining and pro-nuclear energy who say that we're just radio phobes and we're being scared over nothing?
I would tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. And there are various ways to get to such people. Sometimes you have to hit them on the head. Sometimes you have to get angry with them. Sometimes you make friends with them. Sometimes you seduce them. Sometimes they're impossible to get to. But fundamentally, they're ignorant. So what they need is education. And so you must get to where you can teach them. Some people are impossible, like, you know, sociopaths and stuff. You walk away from them. But the majority of people are very decent and very caring, and I know because I treat them as a doctor. So you can get to most of them. Yeah.
What non-health risk-related ways would you help persuade some of those people who maybe are in it for the money or other things? I know you've been around the world.
Well, you can talk about nuclear weapons. I don't know how we're still here. Every year there are abnormalities with the computer functions in the Pentagon and in Russia. You know, Russia's got 40 hydrogen bombs, as I speak, targeted on New York. Bob McNamara, who was Kennedy's Defence Secretary, and I wrote an article about that. I don't know how we're still here. I don't know. And that thing is you know, potentiating the risk of blowing up the planet. You've got a question.
Have there been any studies done in Australia about cancer in mine workers?
No, to my knowledge, I don't think there have been any epidemiological studies of uranium miners, which is really criminal. But certainly the world literature, in certain mines, 50% of them who mined uranium have died of cancer, lung cancer. It's lower in mines where there's ventilation, but they're still at risk. And there's a huge literature on uranium miners. You can Google it. Yeah. I'm nearly talked out.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you reckon?
I'm sorry, no.
Kevin?
It's up to you.
No.
I thought I could talk, but it's a big thing.
I'm going to shut up and...
at the moment.
Okay, you talk now.
I'm just glad you're here. And it was good to come in. Alison was always
yeah.
And,
can people hear?
Until we talk about all this help and how you're going to fix it and everything, this place over here has to shut down completely. I'm told by my experts that if that place is gone, it'll take us probably another 10,000 generations or whatever to heal ourselves and heal the land, so that our environments can be all free and clean and good. But anyhow, I'm just so thrilled to be here, sitting up here and all that. And I got a big concern with the police now,
yeah.
Because we've got families travelling up and down, and
yeah.
We don't know whether they all got home, there's been a few arrested and whatever. All that, but we just have to keep fighting, keep arguing. I don't know what else to say, but totally honest. I think tell them to shut it down, tell the mine to shut it down, stop all this uranium mine. We're going to end this industry for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want them in the desert.
No.
I don't want any mine, all this money in the desert. And they get the water from Lake Air Basin, they pipe the Bullfield A and Bullfield B. There's a lot of destruction to the old country, sacred side. For 40,000 years we've been able to look after it, and then BHP and all this other lot come along and it's all gone. So that's where I'm coming from. I want people out of the desert, leave the desert alone, so we can start healing and learning. A lot of these lot have been invited here by our families, the country and all that. So, and I'm telling the police force, they've been invited here. They come the proper way. So this that healing stuff is going on as well. sorry you don't come in because they hear me trying to sound forever. And,
You're very special.
well, you're the same.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, hang on, we're right up here.
Oh, are we? Yeah, but
again.
I think we can walk though.
So I took wind jetty off the car there, walking up off the caravan.
Yeah. Can we hear it for this great woman?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we can.